Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers with Green Acres Pest Control. I know it's been a while since I made a video. Sorry, I've been very busy. If you think you enjoy the video, if you like the information I provide with you today, think about giving me a thumbs up. Think about sharing, liking the video, and if you really like it and you enjoy seeing my content and you'd like to see more things like what I'm doing today, consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell. I do live streams. I'm actually in the process right now of setting up a studio so that I can do better live streams for you guys. So anyway, today I want to talk about mice, and I want to talk about sealing them out of your home. Is it possible? Can you do it? Why do mice continue to be a problem? Why are they continuously trying to get into your home? We're coming up on mouse season. It's September right now while I'm filming this, but mice are a problem all the way through the hottest part of the summer into the coldest part of the winter because they need food. They need to survive. A lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, it's wintertime, the mice are coming in, they want to try to get in out of the cold. And yeah, well, that's actually, probably the most busiest time of the year that I have for mice. I think it's really because other things kind of slow down, where you don't see as many flying insects like bees or yellow jackets, hornets, spiders kind of slow up, crickets and things. They will be coming in now because it's getting into the fall, but a lot of things kind of slow up in the winter. You don't see as many bugs in the wintertime. Even here in Virginia with a mild climate, things kind of slack off, and I do a lot of mouse work, and I think it's really just that I'm not doing a lot of everything else. But anyway, mice run out of food. So what happens in the winter is grass dies off, bushes and trees and stuff stop budding, and so the plant life starts dying back, and mice run out of food. So they start getting into your home to try to find something to eat. This is what happens. Same in the summer. So in the summer, a lot of times, especially in the hottest part of the summer, like between August and September, when the grass dies back, you may not get as much rain. You may be in through a period of drought, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Grass dies back. The bushes aren't going to seed or the bud or anything like that, so there's not a lot to eat. So the mice start coming in looking for food and water. These are the two main reasons mice come in, is because lack of food and water. They're not so much for harborage. They can still live outdoors. A lot of times mice will live outside. They will burrow outside. They'll live under stumps, logs, firewood, things like that. And also, speaking of which, if you do have problems with mice continuously getting into your house, think about removing these things from your home. So if you go outside, you look around the house. This is what I do on a daily basis. When I go out and I look at homes for mice, I look around the house. If there's logs piled up like for firewood or something, if you burn wood in a wood stove through the winter, think about stacking your wood in like a shed or something somewhere away from the house. Don't put it right up next to the house. And when it comes time to actually stack the wood, I know it's a little bit of a nuisance, a little irritant because you may have to walk a little ways in the cold, but you ought to keep your wood away from the house. Wood piles attract mice. It gives them a place to live. Also, it attracts things like termites. If you stack wood right against the foundation of your home, well, wood laying on the ground is food for termites. So if you haven't had your house treated for termites in a while, this is something you may not want to do. You may not want to put wood right next to the foundation of your home. Try to think of keeping it a little bit, ways off somewhere, because if termites eat the wood and it's in the middle of the yard somewhere, well, who cares? They're in the yard. They're not in your house. So anyway, you want to eliminate harborage. You want to try to get that stuff away from the house. If you've got an old stump that's rotted in the ground and it's 5-10 feet away from the house, think about digging it up. Think about grinding the stump away and getting rid of that root system, because a lot of times the roots will rot underground and it makes the ground nice and soft and leaves voids. And what happens is rats and mice like to burrow under these areas. A lot of times with mouse control, when I go out to do a mouse job, a lot of times you can just eliminate that one thing and the mice stop getting in the house. So think about that. But the thing I want to show you, I've got something in the car here. All right. That's an ink pen. That's the hole the size a mouse can fit through. A full-grown mouse can fit through that hole. Now, the rule of thumb, if you understand my pun, that's about the size of hole a rat can fit through. Full-grown rat, full-grown mouse, full-grown rat, full-grown mouse. I got kind of big fingers, so maybe a little bit smaller than the pinky. So that's what I was always taught. That's what they generally teach you when you do pest control, is if you see a hole about that size, a mouse can fit through it. If you see a hole that size, a rat can fit through it. A snake can fit through a mouse hole. So, snakes come in to eat mice. If you have problems with snakes getting in the house, think about sealing out the mice. Think about steel wool. Steel wool is your best friend. Let me explain. This is not Brillo pads. Brillo has soapy suds in it. You do not want to use a Brillo pad. You want to use the cheap steel wool, not the scrubber pads, those big round like little scrubber pads. We're talking about steel wool. A lot of times you can find it at a Home Depot, Lowe's. I'll link a description below, places that you can find it. It's cheap, like $3 or $4. It don't cost anything. It's in the painting department. So if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you want to go to the painting department and you want to look at things like where the sandpaper for painting. The steel wool in that section, that's the steel wool you want to use. You kind of rough it up, pull it apart. I call them wool biscuits because they're kind of like the shape of a biscuit, and you like a Brillo pad, but it's a lot thicker steel. It's sharper. You can actually cut your fingers on it. You can get burrs and stuff in your fingers, slivers and stuff if you're not careful. I usually wear gloves. Every mouse job I do, I always go around and look for little holes about the size of your thumb or your pinky to stick some steel wool in. And I typically will take the Brillo apart, rough it up, and push it in those holes. And I'll show you, actually, stay to the end of the video, I'll show you actually how I rough up the Brillo pads. Now, the thing about mice, if you have mice in your house, you want to kill the mice that are in your house, because if they're starting to live in your home, there's nothing you can do but kill them. You've got to kill them. You got to get rid of them. Whether you use traps or bait, and I've got a whole series on mice and how to get them. I'll link that at the end cards. If you check to the end of the video, I'll actually put one of those little movies that comes up like right here or right here or somewhere, and I'll link on there where you can actually go to my whole series. I've got like 5 or 6 videos on mice. I'm actually going to put this video at the end of that series because I feel like it's important to include it with my mouse control videos. But on how to actually seal mice out of your house, and I'm going to show that with the steel wool at the end. Now, the problem with steel wool, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it works really good, and sometimes it works too good. So, and let me explain. Let's say you have a mouse living outside. He comes in to get like a bite to eat, some cereal or some dog food or something. You don't realize the mouse is inside your home because they're really quiet. So they're in the house, and you go and you take a little piece of steel wool and you shove it around a pipe or around a little hole in the wall or something like that. Mouse can't get out. And the reason the mice can't get through steel wool is because they don't have hands. They don't have an ability to pull things or tug things. And so the way they do that is they grab it with their mouth and they put it in their mouth, and they tug and they tug and they pull until they get, in or out like a soft, cushiony type thing. Steel wool is made of metal. So when they go and try to chew and gnaw and pull that stuff out of that little hole, it cuts their face and it's really uncomfortable. So a lot of times what will happen is if that mouse is inside eating dog food or, getting some fuzzy stuff for his nest or something like that, then the mouse, you'll actually end up sealing the mouse inside your home, and then he can't get out. And you don't want to do that. So what I usually recommend people do, and this is what I do. I always do for mice, I always do one initial job. I go out, I bait for the mice, I put out bait stations, whatever I need to do, and then I check off all the points that I want to exclude when you seal up holes and stuff like that. I do not seal the holes. When I come back on my follow-up, whether it's 2 to 4 weeks later or something like that, give the bait plenty of time to work on the mice, because I bait for mice. And I go over this in my Mouse Monday series that I did. But the mice are dead. Then you go and exclude the holes. You seal up the holes and you keep the mice from getting in the house. That way you don't have any new mice coming in, and you don't seal the mice from going out. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, a lot of times mice will actually live outside and come in to get food and go back outside to wherever it is they're nesting. Because mice, now if you're in the city, a lot of times they live right in the house with you. If you're in the country, they're not used to being around people. They're kind of skittish, and so they don't have any problem living outside and coming and foraging for food at night. They're nocturnal, so they run at night all the time. They're better at running at night when they feel like there's nothing around that's going to hunt for them and eat them and kill them, so they'll come in the house then when you're asleep. A lot of people call me at night because I'm 24 hours, so they'll call me at night complaining about hearing things in the wall at night. You hear it when you're asleep, when everything else is quiet in the house, and you'll hear that, you know, that little scratching noise. I can't do it as a window, it doesn't work. But anyway, the way you seal mice out of a house is you have to use steel wool. Is it possible to seal mice out of a house completely? I've never known anybody to do it. If a house gets mice, see, this is the reason why it's so hard to seal mice out. Mice don't really control their bladder, neither do rats. They pee all over themselves. Even when they're in their nest, they'll pee, they'll roll in it, it'll get in their nesting material, it gets all over their fur, and this is how mice find one another. So when a mouse comes in and he squeezes through that little hole, the fur, it rubs off all on the edges, and the urine is there, and that carries hormones, pheromones, and stuff like that that attract other mice. So you may not be able to find every hole. Seal every hole you can. You might seal the mice out. But the problem is that more than likely you're not going to be able to seal them out. But the mice know where to go to find each other. So keep that in mind. So hey guys, here's my steel wool. This is the kind I buy. Now, you kind of see how it's like a biscuit like that. You kind of unroll it. Now you see these little, they got these little sharp edges there. That's what the mice can't, they don't like that. So you want to rough it up as much as you can. You know, you spread it apart and you ball it up like a little hole like this. Now you go tear it off. Oh man, that really does hurt. Usually I wear gloves when I do this, but that stuff will get in your fingers. So you rip it off. I'm not going to show you because it hurts and I don't have my gloves on. But you take it like that. You rip that little piece off of there and you shove it in a hole. Ball it up like a little ball like that. And you shove it in a hole. See how it's got all those little, like stray hair almost everywhere? That is how you want to rough up your steel wool to seal out your mice. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Thanks. How do I do this? So hopefully this video has been helpful to you, that you've been able to successfully seal the mice out of your house. Sorry for the abrupt cut. I was rambling and I wanted to get to the part where I show you how to use a steel wool. Like I said, you might want to wear some gloves. That stuff hurts. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I really appreciate all the donations and everything you guys do to keep the channel going and keep me motivated to do even more of these videos. If you have any questions about any other things that bother you through the winter, don't hesitate to ask. We're just a couple months away. It's September. Winter's fast approaching. You guys have a really great day. I really appreciate it. And like I said, all the links will be in the description below. I really appreciate all you guys. Just thanks a lot. Bye.